Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing electricity. We're going to talk about the different types of electric charge. We're going to talk about how materials become charged when they come into proximity of another charged material, and how materials become charged when rubbed together. Types of electric charge. Well, an object can have a negative charge, a positive charge, or no charge at all. Electric charge is an electrical property of matter that creates electricity and magnetic forces and interactions. Okay, types of charge here. Electric charge. We have electrons. Electrons are negatively charged. Negatively charged objects have more electrons. And what this means, if something has a negative charge, they might have 5 electrons and 4 protons. Well, now they have an overall charge of 1 electron. So they have, because 4 of these will cancel out with 4 of these and leave us with only 1 electron. Protons are positively charged. Well, this would be just the opposite. We could have 4 electrons. I'm going to put negative because they're negatively charged, and 5 protons. And when we put those together, we get 1 proton, or 1 positive charge. Neutrons are neutral. Neutrons are neutral, which means they have no charge at all. Like charges repel each other. So a big example of positive and a positive, they're going to repel each other. Opposite and negative and a negative, they would also repel each other. Opposite charges attract. Well, that would be a positive and a negative. They're going to be attracted to each other. Coulombs. Coulombs, the SI unit of electric charge is the coulomb. This is something that's going to be hard for you because it's not used very often in everyday language. But a proton has a charge of 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19th coulombs. An electron has a charge of negative 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19th coulombs. What I want you to see is that they have exactly the same charge. The only difference then is out here in front. A proton is positive and an electron is negative. That's the only difference between the two. To find the charge on an object, basically we use this equation. Right? Think of this as a variable. The number of trons, meaning electrons or protons, times 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19th. So if we had 4 electrons, then it would be 4 times 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19th coulombs, and that would give us our charge. And then our answer, then, the charge on this object would be 6.4 times 10 to the negative 19th coulombs. Transfer of electric charge. How do materials become charged when rubbed together? When different materials are rubbed together, electrons can be transferred from one material to the other. Conductors. Electrical conductor, a material in which charges can move freely. Electrical insulator is a material in which charges cannot move freely. And this goes right back to our same thing we had for heat. All right? Conductors allow energy to flow. In this case, conductors allow electrons to flow. Insulators do not. Insulators do not do either of the two. Okay, in this case right here, we're talking about here is induced charges, or charging by induction. A charged rod brought near a neutral metal doorknob induces a charge on the side of the doorknob closest to the rod and opposite charge on the side farthest from the rod. When we bring these negative charge here, when you bring them close, what happens is these protons are attracted to it. So they're going to go, so they're actually not going to really move. They're going to stay put. But what happens then is, I'm going to go back, just the opposite. The electrons, which can move because the metal is a conductor, so the electrons can move easily, they're going to be repelled from these electrons. So what's left is the protons are stayed put. So here we get a positive charge, and over here we have this buildup of electrons. So we have a negative charge, and this is a charge by induction. What I want you to understand is if we then take this rod here and take it away, what happens then is all these electrons will no longer be repelled because those electrons won't be there, and all these electrons will go back and will go back to being neutral. But when this is close, this is what we call induction. Okay, charging by friction. When we take two, your clothes are charged by friction as they rub against each other inside the dryer and stick together because of static electricity. This is charging by friction. One material gains electrons, it becomes negatively charged. One material loses electrons, it becomes positively charged. Okay, let's talk about charging by conduction. Now, the other one was charging by induction. Now we're going to charge by conduction. Objects get charged by touching. All right, conduction is still touching. An object to a neutral object are said to be charged by contact or by conduction. What happens here now is we bring this rod and it's got this buildup of electrons. Well, it's got an electric negative charge. What happens is some of these electrons come into this doorknob, and now this doorknob has a buildup of electrons again. So it is negatively charged because this object that came in contact gave it more electrons. All right, again, it gave it more electrons, so it became negatively charged. Here are our objectives for today. I want you to take a few moments to answer these, and then we'll go over these in class. Hey, I'll catch you guys on the flip side.